All right. So, hey, it's the Coach Show, season 4. This is the finale, which is it's crazy to think that we had 26 shows. Coach Fry, what do you think about that? And then how just looking back, before we get Zach on here, hopefully, just looking back in the past year, what have you got out of this?
Um, yeah, it's actually crazy. I kind of joined partway through, so it wasn't that I, really. Um,
You joined the third episode.
well, yeah, but I was a guest first, and then kind of just came on and have just been here ever since. And it's been a blast. I get to learn a lot, and it's just fun talking to different coaches and people every single week. So it's something I look forward to on Sunday nights. So, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna kind of roll with this. Hey, Zach, it's good to have you, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate
Oh,
it.
absolutely,
We
absolutely.
finally made it work.
We're just doing the intro now. So, the Coach Show season 4 has been an amazing experience, made even more special by the time spent with two of my best friends on the planet. Okay, Coach Fry and Coach Didi. I got to say thank you, man. What started out as a simple idea has grown into countless conversations, laughs, lessons, and memories that I'll always cherish. And we're not putting this to bed forever. But I don't want to get too choked up, but I'm going to do that, right? It's my show, and I'll cry if I freaking want to. It's been a blessing to spend this season doing something I love alongside two people I deeply respect, and that's something that's huge. Anytime that you respect somebody, it's super deep, when you look at that. So we've had the opportunity to visit with outstanding coaches, educators, administrators, and leaders who continue to make a difference in the lives of young people every day. And I think, not just me, I think we have the best freaking coach show in the country. And that's my freaking story, and I'll stick with it as well. So tonight we close out with another, incredible season with a guest who has made a tremendous impact on students, coaches, and communities throughout Iowa, most specifically Southeast Iowa. And it's not always the easiest job, to accomplish. When you look at anything south of 34, would you say that, Coach Fry? 34?
Yeah.
So here's some questions, man. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, and we'll go every other one. Coach Fry, if you got some questions, or if you want me to rapid fire the icebreakers, I can do that too.
Yep. Let's go for it.
All right. So when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Actually, I just found that as we're preparing to move. I found a little clip. I wanted to be a garbage man. That's what I wanted to be when I grew up. So. Not yet, awesome. I guess. I'm not there yet. But who knows?
There's still time, right?
Yeah. Never count it out.
All three of us have been ADs in our respective, different schools or whatever. And, you two current, I'll tell you, I would have rather have been a freaking garbage man a few times.
Yeah. That's accurate at times. But probably not as rewarding, I would assume.
For sure.
I don't know, man. Throwing away that stink.
Yeah, it's something. I had high aspirations there.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, man. I know a lot of great garbage men out there.
Hey, cool story about our garbage man growing up. Ray Bradley's his name. He still doing it today, but he was a guy, me and my buddy, when we saw the garbage truck, we'd run outside and start playing basketball, because if we were out there, he'd stop his truck and he'd come play with us for it seemed like 30, 40 minutes. I'm sure it was only 5 minutes or so, but it was a blast growing up. We'd see Ray and we'd want to play a little ball with him.
That's freaking awesome. So what's one thing that would, let's see here. What's one thing people would be surprised to learn about Zach's summers?
I'd say so. Being the activities director, sometimes people think that you overlook the arts and things like that. Well, two things that I always use and have in my arsenal as an AD is one, I was all conference tuba player my senior year in high school. So did the band thing, actually love band. So all conference there. And then my second one was I was in dance through 8th grade. After 8th grade, getting into high school sports, I just couldn't. But I did tap, jazz, did a little acrobats. And so I went through the studio dance for a long time too. So I was right there with our dance team members as well. So those two I always have in my back pocket if I need to use them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, all three of us, in the arts. I won the John Philip Sousa Award playing trombone. So,
Nice.
Yeah, I think we should start our own dance studio.
Yeah, man. I was a whole brass group over here. I was a trumpet player, so yeah.
My God, I always thought that the trumpet would be harder to play, though. You really gotta, tighten that lip or whatever. So, if you could have dinner with any coach, and this for you too, Ben. I'll ask this of both of you. If you could have dinner with any coach or leader, living or dead, who would it be and why?
I think for me, I think it'd be Nick Saban, and only because not only has he succeeded at the highest level, done anything. Well, I shouldn't say highest level. He didn't really get it done in the NFL, but at the college level, and now how he's trying to shape college athletics and trying to save college athletics. I think that would be just a phenomenal conversation. I mean, just how he approaches winning and what it takes to be as successful as he is for as long as he was. It's one thing to be successful, have a championship. Now all of a sudden you're the big money man. You go somewhere else. Maybe you don't get another one. But with him, he sustained it, and he sustained it in a couple of places. So it's like, how did he do that? Like, what are the things that he did that sets him apart from everybody else that couldn't do it? I think that would be fascinating. And then just hearing him talk about college athletics now and the state they're in, why he's not coaching anymore. And I just think he's a fascinating man. My brother's a big Alabama fan. I'm not really, but he's a guy that just breeds success. And I think it'd be fun to pick his brain.
Yeah. I didn't take you for an Alabama guy, but that's okay.
Yeah. It's not by choice, but I get it force fed anytime I'm with my brother.
Coach Fry, who do you got?
Oh, it's a really tough question because Saban's up there for me, but I mean, it's all the same reasons that Summers just said. So I think additionally, it would be really cool to sit down with Lou Holtz and just guy reminds me of my grandpa, just sit down, shoot the crap with him and just kind of talk through his history and all that kind of stuff. Maybe, throw on a hat and all that kind of stuff too. But yeah, I think that would be so cool.
I want to hang out with Peyton Manning. I did name my son Peyton, but he played the trumpet and danced. He didn't play football, but I want to sit down with Peyton Manning because I want to see if his forehead's really that big, Zach. I mean, what do you think?
I think it's got to be. I mean, I know TV, they say it adds 20, takes away 20, whatever. Well, his forehead, I think that's accurate. I think the TV's putting out exactly what it is.
I've never seen a forehead that big. I'm just, it's crazy. All right.
You're going to get a cease and desist letter from the Mannings here.
Yeah.
Chuck Banks on Dog Pound Radio cannot talk about me at all. But no, he's if you were to do your Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks, Zach, who would it be?
Oh boy. Obviously you got to put Brady on there.
He's probably the best. I hate to say it.
That's a safe pick. I think
Coach Fry can help you.
I think Terry Bradshaw, for more reasons, that he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but everything he's done after football too. I think Tom Brady's got a chance to do that same thing. He's not there yet, but Terry Bradshaw did that. So I think I'd put him up there. I think you got to put Patrick Mahomes up there. All he's done is won. I know it's recent, but the guy's consistently winning at the highest level. It was actually a shock that the Chiefs weren't in the Super Bowl for once. It's just it's one of those things that you just expect that guy to win. So I think
does he win that much without Andy Reid?
That's a good question, and probably not. But I don't think Tom Brady wins as much either without Bill Belichick. I think there's just fits, and sometimes I give it a hard time in the NBA and the NFL where just coaches are recycled over and over again. And it's like, well, if it didn't work there, why are you keep hiring these same guys? But it's obvious that those guys are good. They're top of their game. They're the best there is. It's just there's fits and then there's not. And I think that those two fit really, really well. And like you said, Brady and Belichick fit really, really well. Manning, I think, just taught whoever was his coach how to do football. And so it worked with him because he was just smarter than the head coach was. So that one worked too. But yeah, I think I think those things have to happen. I think if you go back and look at all the quarterbacks that are the greats and the ones that you talk about at Mount Rushmore, I bet their coaches, they didn't do it without them as well as the other way. I just think that's how you make a really, really good championship team. It all just works together and it all just fits.
I think on top of that too, you have, everybody talks about the systems that you grow up in and that all the coaches are using, but in the NFL, like everybody works with somebody, right? And so like there's a perfect fit for everybody, but then there's like that next option. So like in Mahomes' case, say that he was, he's at the Chiefs, say that he was with the Bears. Well, when the Bears would have drafted him, they had Andy Reid's offensive coordinator, Matt Nagy is their coach. So maybe it would have worked out a little bit better for them. Or so-and-so was working for this program at that time, and they worked directly with who they are currently working with. So I think there's a lot of that little systems conversation in there, but they're playing at such a high level up there that, you got to know what you're doing and be able to communicate back and forth. I think that's what keeps some people from reaching full potential.
100%. Now, as long as they don't go to the Browns, the Jets, the Raiders, even Miami. Anyway, hey, we better dig into these big time questions. We'll go every other one. Coach, I'll ask the first one and then I'll let you have the next one. You ready? Are you ready?
Yeah. Ready.
No, I was talking to Coach Fry over there.
Oh, Fry. He looks ready too.
I'm good.
Yeah. Well, Coach Fry's ready to punch me in the forehead. Anyway, hey, Zach, what do you think? Without having Coach Fry, the women wouldn't watch. I'm just throwing that out there. It's an amazing thing. Appreciate his wife letting him come, on the show. Anyway, I hope everybody's laughing really, really big right there. So, what attracted you to the activities director position at North Polk?
Yeah, I think it was a number of things. So it was kind of an interesting journey getting there. In January, their high school principal job came open, and my brother lives up in the northern Ankeny area, and that's a spot we've always liked. And I said I'd never leave Keokuk just to leave. It's got to be a good opportunity. Well, that principal job came open. I sent it to my wife, texted to her. I said, "What do you think?" I had no idea what she'd say, and immediately she said, "Go for it." And so I did, and ended up being a finalist for their principal job. Went through a 3.5 hour interview process. Met a lot of really, really good people within that interview process. I was in a room with a bunch of administrators and board members, and a different room with teachers, instructional coaches, an assistant principal, then one with some parents and some students. And so I got to meet a lot of different people. And really the one thing that stood out in that interview out of everything else was there was 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy. They gave me a tour. And as we were walking around, school's in session, these kids were like pointing out other kids that were walking by and letting me know what they've accomplished. Like the quarterback was there, and he's like, "Well, that's a high school quarterback. He was all conference this year." The next person like, "Oh, that's one of our best show choir kids." And like they knew every one of the students and what they were good at and what they succeeded. Just absolutely blew me away that those kids were like that. And right there, I just knew the place was different. And, at the end of that interview process, they ended up hiring their assistant principal who, he's been in the district, I think they said 29 years. He was the head football coach. Then he was the AD. Then he was an assistant principal. So he's worked his way up where that was a job for him. And that also shows how that school values their employees like that they're bringing them up along the way. And then the dominoes kind of fell where the dean of students went in the assistant principal role, and then a phenomenal principal at Madrid, Kelly Williamson, he ended up applying for the dean of students job. We both interviewed for that. He's got tons of experience. They hired him. North Polk's out, the door's closed, and I was bummed out just because that place stood out. And I told him in every interview, I said, when they asked me why North Polk, I said, because I want to be around these people. I want to be around you guys. I want my family to be here in this environment. And I really meant that. And it hurt when I didn't get those jobs. But at the same time, I told the administrators up there, I said, you know what? Every decision that was made, I would have made that exact same decision. So it was easy for me to accept in one regard, but hard in losing that opportunity. Well, like a day or two after I found out that I didn't get the dean job was our AD conference in Des Moines, and ran into Matt Eichhorn, their current AD, and he came running by. He is part of that convention, so he's kind of busy during that thing. He ran by, he hit me on the shoulder, he said, "Hey, my job's open." And I thought, well, what? And so he ended up accepting a job at Bound, has good opportunity there. And so that became open a couple days after I thought there was no opportunity. And, with the relationships I'd made in 2 different interview processes, the cool thing about it was there was 55 applicants. And if I didn't interview for that head principal job, I would have never got an interview for this AD job. They wouldn't have known who Zach Summers from Keokuk was, opposed to the other 54 candidates. So it all kind of fell into place. But man, what stuck out was just the people. And when I always asked in the interview, when I got to ask questions, I said, "What are you most proud of at North Polk?" Every single person said the people here. We were proud of the people here, and it just stood out. And that was an easy one for me. My wife was able to come down at the end of May. We went to their big fundraiser that they have at the end of the year. And after that too, she was just relieved, that, wow, this really is what you said it was. And so we're excited. It's a great opportunity. And not only that, but I mean, the expectation's high at North Polk. And, yesterday the girls soccer team just won the state championship, first in
Did you see that they beat themselves?
Yeah, at first, they sure did. That was a no lose situation for North Polk. I see how they do it now. It's genius. You just play yourself. But no, that was pretty good. I didn't catch it when I posted it on my feed though. But so expectations are high. They're only a couple of years removed from a state championship in football, and some state runs and a lot of other sports. So it's exciting to go into a spot that it's at a high level right now. And so then maybe I put my twist on it and let's see where we can go from there. And I told him in the interview, I think my goal, like where they're at right now, is fantastic. I want to be the best 3A school in the state of Iowa. And that's the goal that I think that's what's left at North Polk. I think that's where they have to go now is, can they be the school like the Pella that everybody always talks about? And can we be the new kid on the block? And North Polk's now going to be Pella, and that's who's going to be talked about. And that's the goal. And I think coaches that I've met so far, that's their goal. And it's really, really exciting to go and be a part of that. And then two, I think one of the other reasons I was hired was their fine arts is fantastic. They've got just started a marching competition a year or two ago, have a big show choir competition. Those are things that, we value in Keokuk, and those are things that were big deals for us as well. So to fit right into some of those things too is exciting. And like I said, it's just successful people all around that really want success. And I'm just going to go and try to put my spin on it and work hard to take it to the next level.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't be, we need to talk about Keokuk a little bit. You spent a long time there. What made Keokuk special, and what are some of the things that you're going to carry away with you up to North Polk?
Yeah, the Keokuk people, they rally around winners. They just always have. It's a prideful community. It's a community that will get behind your teams when you give them something that they can be proud of. And I think in the 9 years at Keokuk, I think we did that in a lot of ways. I think we created environments that people wanted to be a part of. And when you do those things and when you put that effort out, the people show up and they'll be there for you. And, we created a lot of fun environments, whether it was football or it was in basketball or some of our days out on baseball, softball field. I think it seems like in softball, we play each other in postseason every year, first game. And those games are always fun and exciting. And we've just created things that people want to be a part of. And they do come and they do show up. And this year, our first football game, I always go out because a few coaches ago, we couldn't figure out how to run out of the tunnel without the band being in place. So I had to start going out there and directing traffic. And so I always had my back to the stands and never really saw what was going on. And as soon as I'd let the team go, that very first game this year, I turned and I kind of looked up and our fight song's playing and like the stands are packed. And it's just, you just see moments like that and you just get proud. And those are the things that the people in Keokuk, they appreciate those things. And they're good people that will go and they'll support people that are going to work hard. And that's what we built and that's what we did. And it was something that it was special to me. My grandma graduated from Keokuk. I'm from right across the river in Hamilton. Keokuk was the big school growing up, coming from Hamilton. When we'd come over, it was big time to go play in Keokuk because of the facilities and they're up a level and up a class. And, you'd come over every now and then. We get to watch a Macomb Keokuk football game. They start on a Thursday back in the day. And, it just always seemed like they were the top dogs in the high level. And to be able to come and be a part of that was pretty fun and pretty cool these last 9 years.
For sure.
Yeah, and you look at like I said, man, yeah, anything south of 34. I mean, we're rough, we're tough, right? The communities, they rally around each other. I mean, it's crazy, and you're going up above 34. But before I talk about that, let's talk about the rivalry between Keokuk and Fort Madison.
Yeah,
Holy cow.
Man, I don't know how long the show is. I don't know if we got enough time to talk about all of it. But it's only a rivalry when you got a bunch of good people that make it possible. I'll say that. And what I mean by that is there's been a lot of really successful, really, really good coaches in both schools over these 9 years that I've been here. And a lot of good talent. I mean, if you look through some of the talented times, there was a lot of times in these 9 years that our talents didn't match up. The times that you had the really, really good groups, we didn't, and the vice versa. But the few times that we did, I mean, that just elevated things up to a whole new level. And was there times that some things I wish didn't happen? Yeah, I do. But at the same time, I think people can look at the rivalry and just be proud of how hard it is to build something like that. I mean, yeah, you're close. It's a natural rivalry, you would say. But if your teams don't compete really hard and you don't have coaches that are pushing kids to compete at a high level and you don't have fans that are going to rally around it and administrators that create that environment, you don't get any of it. And it's just another Friday night or it's just another Tuesday or whatever it may be. But that's probably what I'm I don't know if it's proud, but it's excited that that's what we built. And I shouldn't say we built it. That's rivalry's been going on forever. But in these 9 years, what we developed and built personally in the basketball side of things. But I think our football rivalry in these 9 years just got to a place that I don't know if it was for a few years before that. And, that got special. But all those things. And I think they only are good when you have to play for something every now and then. And we got to play for a lot of championships or a lot of big, meaningful games. And that's really what makes it. But yeah, I love it. I love that rivalry. Loved working with Ben on the AD side. Absolutely love Jeff. Jeff's like a brother to me now. And, like those things mean a lot. And it's funny. Everybody on both sides, the kids, they get mad when they see me and Jeff being friends. They don't think we should be friends because we're from Fort Madison and Keokuk. But it cracks me up when at track meets when they come help. Like, you know him? Like, yeah, I do. But yeah, it's been special and it's been really, really fun with this rivalry.
For sure.
Now, I got to agree there. With Brent, you're going to have to lose that accent when you go up north. And then Coach Lucas Stanton, man, good to see you in chat. He mentions that hey, Cornell Rams.
Yeah, me and Lucas graduated from Cornell the same year. We intermingled a lot. We were in the same social circles. He was on the football team, I was on the basketball team, and we had a lot of fun together. And it's been really
Who could
cool.
bench press the most?
Oh, not me, not me at all. So I'm from Illinois. I didn't even know anything about wrestling, and so I get up there and we're waiting outside the weight room for the wrestlers to get done. Boy, going into the weight room after the wrestlers get done was a real learning experience for me. I wasn't ready for that. Let's just put it that way.
I just kind of see, probably the amount of sweat on all of the equipment, it'd be insane.
Yeah, it's uncalled for. That's why I stayed in the gym. It's safe.
So you've been, like you said, you've been at Geekuck 9 years. Let's just talk about the last decade from the AD perspective. So how has the AD job evolved over the last 10 years? And then what do you think separates a good AD from a great AD?
Yeah, I think what's evolved is just more and more technology. I think like the amount of programs we've got to know, it's tennis uses UTR, and then you've got track wrestling, then you got finish links, and
UTR sucks. I just want to throw that out there.
I can't figure it out. I'm just glad my coaches somewhat know what's going on. But, then you got huddle, then you got all your bound, and then it's just one thing after the other. And then you got to do online ticketing, but the girls' union's different than the boys' association. And I think it's just all of that technology. It's a moneymaker, so everybody wants a piece of it, and everybody's out there throwing their weight around. So you're never going to be consistent with what you have, probably, because it's just what's the next best thing. So I think adapting to all your technology and understanding it and staying on top of it is probably the thing that's changed the most out of everything. And then I think expectation. I think after COVID and what we gave to the COVID kids, just because they missed out on so much, it just became an expectation now. And it's a hard one to keep up with, but it's one that it is an expectation. So all the extras, all the different things like that, it's just part of what we are in activities and athletics anymore. And you either embrace it and you get good at it, or somebody else is going to pass you by. And so I think you got to just keep evolving into what those areas are. And then the second one was what Ben? What was the second?
What do you think separates a good AD from a great AD?
Yeah, I think first I'll do coach and then AD. So they asked me about what a successful coach, and I think what a successful coach is did your team and your program get better from the beginning of the year to the end of the year? I think that's all you can ask of a coach. You got your talent level is always going to be different in high school. There's things you can do to develop your program, make your program consistent. But at the same time, you only go as far as your kids will let you go in one aspect. So when you start that year, did your team and your program get better? And are you building as you go? And I think if you can answer yes to that, that coach is successful. And then as an AD, I think to be successful is, did I give that coach that opportunity to allow his team to grow? Did I do the things that I needed to do to allow him to have success? Is that financial? Maybe that's part of it. Is it giving him resources that he needs? Or is it that I got his back on a couple parent issues and I keep that off of him so he can focus on coaching or whatever it may be with your coaches? I think that's just a good administrator in general. As a principal and as assistant principals, your job is to provide all the resources you can to your teacher to allow them to have success in the classroom. And that's just the exact same thing as the AD. And then on the activity side of things, I think it's the same thing. I think it's providing the supports. I think one of the biggest things that I probably did that helped me with my relationship with our band and choir teacher the most is I was just super organized and they were super organized, and our schedules always aligned. They were always ahead of the game on that. And that was a big thing for them, that they're not scrambling around trying to move things and make things work to get kids where they need to go. We always were able to make it work because we just did that together. So it's things like that that I think make a good AD. Have given the resources to the people that need it to be able to succeed, because ultimately, the kids, when you succeed, it means the kids succeed. And that's the bottom line of what we do and why we do it. And that's the goal.
I won't bring up that my kids got better and I made the playoffs. I won't bring that up. You know what,
Yeah,
Coach Fry?
yeah.
I just won't bring that up tonight. Anyway, see what I did there?
I see where you're going there. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well
hey,
played.
in all seriousness, man, going to Fort Madison saved my life.
Yeah.
Those guys brought me in. And they've almost rehabilitated my ass back to who I am, but you know how that works, right?
Yeah.
I got to bring up before I do a question. Hey, looky here, Mama Doherty's here and Dee Dee's not, but yeah, hey, it's good to see you. Hey, we'll do it.
Anyways, there you go.
Yeah. We'll do it. I feel Frenetti here. He says on the technology front, Keokuk football hit a major low point because he was the most qualified coach.
He was. That's all we had.
I didn't touch it, man.
Fern.
Man, Frenetti, Chuck, I mean, all you guys still remember. I mean, 10 years ago, we were still using Huddle Mercury, which was another app you had to then like upload film in. There was the tools, all that kind of stuff. And then like just a couple years before that, it was driving and handing off physical tapes.
Dude, we started out, VCRs and we started out just recording one, right? And then we got this really cool thing, man, in the Centerville coaching stuff. And, we could make 9 tapes at once. Holy crap. And then the CDs, I thought, oh shit, we're not going to get any better than this. Anyway, I hate to go on a tangent because this is about Summers right now, but let's dig into here. What is the toughest leadership lesson you've learned during your whole career?
I think it's been twice. And it was both on the coaching front of things, was adapting what I believed in to try to get by. A couple years, there were some groups that, that you just needed to survive that group, where it was going to be a hard year. There was going to be, upset parents, and it was just one of those groups. And a couple times that happened, and I thought, let's just play the game and get through. And, both times it backfired. It didn't help anything. The one time I was at Knox County and had to go talk to the board to keep my job. That was year 2 that I was the head coach ever. And, it was just.
Did you have high ego?
I don't know
at that point or not.
I yelled a lot.
Yeah.
I did that. But no, what it was, it was, I'm going to try to give these people what they want to keep them happy so we can just be done with this year and get ready for next year with that group type of thing. And it's the wrong move because, one, it sets your program back. It also tells your younger kids that there's a different expectation now. And it was just the wrong move to make, because at the end of the day, it didn't move us forward. It didn't help us. It didn't grow us. And so that was a lesson that when I learned that, I just said, hey, I will never do that again. If my beliefs and my program, the way I want it ran, is not enough, then it's not enough. And you move on to the next place. And I think you just got to do that. And you got to be content with that. And I think at the end of the day, if you're always doing what you believe in and what you believe is successful for your kids that are part of your programs, then I think you're doing what's right. And I think that's what you got to do to be successful. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Matt Long, he's a Hall of Fame girls basketball coach, coached at Camp Point Central over in Illinois forever. And he told me when I was an assistant for him, he said, if you never get fired from being a head coach, you aren't doing it right. And it's true, because it's really, really hard to be successful in athletics. And to be successful, it takes a lot of sacrifice and it takes a lot of really hard things. And if you're not always willing to do that, then it can be hard and it can get you in some trouble and things like that. And that's okay, but you got to continue to be true to who you are and in your beliefs. And that should be enough. And that's always going to be enough. Like I said, as long as your kids are succeeding.
For sure. What do you think, this is a big question, but what do you think the biggest misconception people have about the athletic director or the activities director's role is?
They're just a yes man.
Yeah, I think it's just the knowledge we have. I think like you battle it in sports all the time, and the coaching is the same way too. Well, I played, so I know exactly what it is. I can coach because I played the game, or well, I can be the AD. I've been in sports, I've watched sports, I know all of this. It's nothing like that. And one of the most frustrating things for me is when like youth parents come to me and ask my opinion or what should we do, or hey, we want to start this or that. It's like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna help. And then they do it anyway. And it's like, you don't do that at the doctor's office. You don't go to the doctor and, well, that's a good suggestion, but I'm going to do my own thing. You listen. And, well, some people do, I guess. Some don't. But, that's a bad problem if you don't listen to your doctor. Yeah. But I think that's probably it is. And the only reason us on the AD side of things know more is because we've just witnessed it all and we've seen it all. And we see the back side of things. We see the coaching side and the parent side and the kid side. We see the administrator side, and we do it. And that was one thing I said in my interview when they said, why are you the best fit at North Polk? So because I've been an AD for 9 years, and there's nothing that prepares you for being an AD than just seeing things in 9 years and having to go through things. And it's just so true. And it just helps you have an understanding of big picture of what athletics are. And I think we're missing big time of what athletics are anymore, especially at the high school, well, just junior high and high school level. We're missing what athletics were built to do and what they're for. And it's all about winning a medal and winning a trophy. And if we don't, then I'm not going to play because I'm not going to be a champion anymore. And we just are missing out. And we're kind of robbing our kids of what athletics should be and what they mean and how valuable they are. So I think that's a big misconception, is that sports are just sports, and because you played them, you're going to know everything. You just aren't. And until you witness the things and you experience all the things in this side of the job, you're just never going to understand.
For sure. And then I was just going to say, I got a follow up that might be exactly what
you go for it.
Yeah. If you could fix one thing about high school athletics in Iowa, what would it be? Is it that mindset, or are you taught, or is there like calendar issues? Is there other things that come to mind?
Oh, I think it's the mindset thing. And I think really to fix it, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's by district, and the districts that figure it out are going to just be successful, or the state starts looking at what it looks like to get in the elementary schools, and we start reviving our towns and our kids, because especially in Southeast Iowa. So, my kids are at an age where they're traveling and they do those things now in our area. So what happens is we travel because we don't feel we have anything in town to do, but that leaves out over half the kids that we depend on when they get to be middle schoolers and high schoolers. They don't have the resources. They struggle to get to school. They're not going to be able to get to a travel team practice, and they're not going to be able to get to or pay the money to be able to play in these tournaments. But what they could do is be on a town team. And what else happens? And I'm guilty of it too. I'm not saying I'm not, but what happens is, like this year in basketball, we had 3-4 guys that all knew basketball, and we all coached that travel team in that group, and we had 7-8 kids. Well, great, but we needed the other 15 that are in that grade, and all 4 of us are coaching this travel team. Well, what if all 4 of us were coaching the Y team? And then we split our kids up, and then we get everybody split around, and then we find the kids that maybe can play some travel ball for the last few weeks or something. But we are just missing out on so many of our kids that we really need in high school and in middle school to be able to compete and be really good. And I don't know if that's a state thing that needs to be looked at, but man, I think the people that really are serious about being successful in athletics, they'll start looking at what it looks like to have an AD down at the elementary level and organize your athletics down there and trying to get more and more kids involved and keep them involved for as many years as you can. And I think that's how it would work. And I think that keeps it also away from all the travel stuff. I mean, you're giving out MVP medals for a 9-year-old in a baseball game now every game. And it's madness. And, and I'm serious, kids, you see it today. Kids aren't playing if they're not winning, because when they were 6 years old all the way up to middle school, all they did was get trophies and medals. And then in middle school in Iowa, you don't get anything. You're not playing for nothing other than playing. You can win a game, you can lose a game, but there's no tournament. There's no championships. There's no nothing. And so you go from I'm winning medals every game, being MVPs, to nothing. And our kids get bored of it. And then they're just done. And then we don't see them in high school. So I think it's a real serious issue that needs to be looked at.
Yep.
I'm going to dig in. It's been a while since I made the statement. I'm not talking poorly on any activities director. Just want to throw that out there. I was one once, and it was my second week, guys, and I had this parent that was pretty strong headed, and he came up to me and he asked me if I was immediately I wanted to punch him in the throat, but I didn't. I'm not really, I don't like conflict, but man, anytime that someone says stuff like that, it just drives me crazy. But anyway, I need to quit griping, like Coach Schrader says. I want to know if Coach Schrader is doing the huddle at Nottoway Valley next year, but we'll have to dig in here. So let's dig in here, because this one's important, right? What qualities do you look for when you're hiring someone? It can be anything within the activities realm.
Yeah, I think it's honestly, and I'm just starting to kind of learn this, I think, and I think it's good, is people that come in with a plan, and that have an idea of what they want to do. So in an interview, no matter what it's for, when you're asking those questions, are they just hitting bullet points, or are they taking things and saying, this is what I would do with it? And this is the plan I have. I think it's small, but I think it's a big deal. I think really good head coaches are really good media people. They're really good at doing this stuff. They're really good at going on camera and talking right after a game. NBA college guys are really good at talking during games and in game and things like that. Why? Because they have a plan. So when they're asked a question, they already know the answer to that because they've already had it in their head and they already are a step ahead of things. And I think that sets people apart. So in an interview, it's, do you have a plan? Are you going to just answer these questions because those are the right answers? Are you going to take those right answers and show me what you would do with it? For me in these interviews in Keokuk, how are you going to do that in Keokuk? And the good ones always have a plan. The good ones always have an idea. The good ones can talk through those things. The ones that don't have a plan, not to say they can't figure it out and develop into something and to learn those things, but they're going to be behind the person that does, I think.
Coach Fry, do you have another one? Yeah.
I was just going to say, from I agree with everything you're saying, and coming in with a plan, like that's what I'm looking for when I'm doing interviews now is not just like, hey, I read your resume, you're going to touch the bullet points on it, but now it's what does it look like if you do get the job here? And then when they go through that plan, it's a difference maker, because then you start to believe in everything that they're selling too. And so then providing the support for them becomes easier, because you're not asking, what do you need from me? It's like, I already have your plan. Now it's just like, here, let's attack it together and let's figure this stuff out. And so, I agree fully in what you're saying. And I guess when it comes to culture and leadership, you kind of talked about what you experienced going into North Polk, but from an AD or a coach's perspective, going in with that plan during the interview process, like how intentional do you feel like coaches need to be about either creating the culture or letting it develop naturally inside the programs?
Yeah, I think, man, I think you gotta. I don't think you can let it develop naturally, or it never will. I think so. When I was a younger coach, I really didn't like culture. I didn't like the word culture. I thought it was thrown around, and what it was I just didn't understand really what it meant. And to me, all culture is what you are going to allow in your program. That's it. That's what culture is. It's what you're going to allow in your program, or as an AD, it's what you're going to allow within your activities department day in and day out. And I think the really good programs, that's why I would love to have that talk with Nick Saban. I believe what Nick Saban, I think Signetti at Indiana is the exact same way. I don't think they allow anything other than excellence in their practice facilities, in their dorms, in their anywhere. I don't think that they will allow kids to do anything but be excellent. I don't think they will allow them to miss a class. I don't think they will allow them to come show up 5 minutes before a practice and go and practice. I don't think they would allow them to be skipping, to be sleeping in, to be doing those, not even once. I don't think they'd allow a towel to be laying on the floor in a locker room. I think it's just what you allow is what your program is. And I just think that's what culture is. And I think that you have to be the one that dictates that. And I think that, going back to if you haven't been fired before as a head coach, you probably didn't do it right. You have to be strict on your culture and what you allow. And that can rub people the wrong way at times, because the right way is not always the easy way. And the right way is really hard a lot of times. So, I think it's something that's if the really, really good ones, the really, really successful ones, they hold tight to that, and there's some that they cross the line a little bit, and those are the ones that get themselves in trouble. But, I've had a few of those coaches. They're really good. They know what's excellent. They know the excellence part, but they don't know where the line is. And you have to have both, and you have to understand that. But boy, what you allow in your program is going to dictate what your program is.
This is a question that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and I ask it every week, or every week that we have a show. When we're looking at the mental health crisis, and we're not only seeing that with our athletes, but we're seeing it with our coaches, right? What kind of things do you do that sets you apart?
Well, I mean, for me, it's church. It's my faith. That's the biggest thing in Keokuk. It's been the biggest blessing for my family, not just for me. Is I think it was towards the end of year one here, we got a new pastor. Church was kind of a mess. It was, it was the Crossing, so there's campuses all over, and we'd been going in Kirksville and in Quincy, and so it was just natural to come to the Crossing in Keokuk. And the new pastor, and then a church that's been just in turmoil, he's like, "Hey, I don't think you're doing anything. I think God's got something for you, and what is it? And let's find something. You're the AD at the school. You are a leader. You're in a place where you can be in leadership." So he put me on the leadership team at the church, and bi-weekly we have meetings. It's the best PD I get every single week, where we're learning about leadership. We're talking through church functions, but then I also get to speak on stage on Sundays and do some of the stuff there. And really, I always say this when I'm talking up there, it's like when I really got into what God created me to do, and to go pour that into the church, like it became who I was. And, our family's faith got so much stronger these 9 years here, talking about how I landed the North Polk job. I mean, that's a God thing, to set you up for that principal interview, then the dean interview, and then the AD job comes open. Those things don't just happen. I always say, I see those so many times, you just can't have them all be coincidences. And so, that's what carries me through. And I'm telling you, when you got a tough conference loss, when the Bloodhounds beat us in Keokuk on Wright Fieldhouse, and Coach Wilson's dancing on my center court, winning a conference championship, that was really tough to have to get up on stage on Sunday. But you know what? It was exactly where I needed to be, and things got a lot better once I was there. And so that's it for me. And church Sunday sermons are the best professional development you can have. It fills you up, and that's what really keeps me going. And I believe that God gives you gifts, talents, and abilities whatever that may be, you need to use them and use them in a way that gives you a platform to glorify his kingdom. And that's what I try to do. I'm not the best at it all the times. I fall short a lot of times, but I keep trying. And
we all fall short, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's why we are who we are and where we're at. So that's how it is. But you just try to be better every day, and that's really what drives me.
For sure.
That was a beautiful answer, Coach Fry.
Yeah.
And I do want to throw out there that Coach Patrick Lamb, he preached today, and Weichert said he killed it. So hopefully he didn't kill any. No, I'm just messing. All right, Coach Fry, it's your question.
Okay, so a couple just little quick hitters for you. But what's one thing every coach listening, from an AD standpoint, what's one thing every coach listening should start doing tomorrow? And then what's one thing every AD that might hear this should stop doing tomorrow?
All right. So for the coach, is when the AD says no, you can question it, and it's okay to question it, because I think that's where give and take happens. But when the AD says no again, there's some other reason. There's a deeper reason, whether it's a whole, or you're looking at the department as a whole, or it's coming above you, or whatever it may be. Like, I never think, I think all the good coaches, sometimes when you hear no, your instant thing is to question something, and I think that's okay. I think that's a thing I really liked with North Polk superintendent when we talked. I think it was in the principal interview, was he said that I want somebody that's going to push me, that's going to question me, but at the end of the day, realize that when my decision's made, that's the decision. And I think that's what it's got to be. But I think you just build off each other if you are pushing a little bit. And I think it's okay to do that. It's just understand when the AD says no that second time, it's because it really needs to be no for reasons that you're probably not going to be happy with, or not understand, or maybe a little both. But that's okay. But yeah, I think you just push a little bit, and that's okay. I think for ADs, something to stop doing, and I've tried to do this, and I've done a lot better job. Don't even check emails on the weekend. Leave it alone. We create our own problems so many times by always being available. And when we're always available, we're not available for our family. We're not available for the important things in life. So, man, it's okay to not check your email or answer that text on the weekend. I'll get it on Monday. I'll see you Monday. It's not I don't care. It's just I do have a family, and I got some more important things that I got to do.
For sure.
Hey, I got to throw out there, Coach Stanton said he asked 3 times. All right. So you got to – no, I'm just
That's
DD.
okay. Coach Stanton, I think, built that rapport.
He can ask 3. He can ask 4 times.
Yeah, and with Hack, I think 4 or 5 would be just fine.
and Schrader, you can ask 10 times, but I'll probably still say no. All right, so Dee he says Summers is the man. Excited to see what he does up at North Polk, and while he's watching, I want to give him accolades, because he didn't get to probably watch the beginning of the show, but I want to give out just a kind of a heartfelt thanks, to Dee. And again, I have to throw this out there. I haven't shared this story in a while, but 3.5 years ago, guys, I was probably 3 minutes from leaving the planet, and that guy saved my life. So, and he gets all the accolades with that. So, I just want to make sure that he knows that, and I love him like my brother, and I would do anything for him. And as you too, Fry, but you and I have a funnier, stuff. We can't say what we said before the games, but anyway. No, so Zach, I have a 2-pronged question. So how are you going to help Johnston as he's coming into to Keokuk? And how are you going to or what do you have planned to hit the ground running when you head up to North Polk?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here, it's just being super organized with everything and setting him up for success. So, he's been an AD, but he hasn't been an AD in Keokuk. And so there's a lot of nuances and a lot of different things.
I don't know. Centerville's a little Keokuk. I come from Centerville, so I want to throw that.
Yeah. It could be Keokuk Junior, I suppose. but it's just like the operations are different, things like that. So making those checklists and just making sure I have him with all the materials he needs, so he's not scrambling last minute. And at the end of the day, ultimately though, and this kind of answers the North Polk side of things too, as the AD, you end one job this year you end one job on Tuesday, you start the next one on Wednesday, and July 1st I have baseball and softball double headers at North Polk. So it's you just stop one, you go in the other. Now this week, a couple days, I'll go up to North Polk, spend some time up there. Have a booster meeting on Wednesday, so kind of meet some of the people there.
Are you having people move you? Are you
yes,
making your wife do
I'm
that?
Finally at an age that like I can have other people do this, because none of my friends are showing up. Guaranteed. That's out the window. Their backs hurt. Some of them can't lift anything anymore anyway. So, yeah, I think we're finally hitting it big time and having somebody move us.
You got another question there, Coach Fry?
I do. I got one that will probably wrap things up. But,
perfect.
Okay, so you've spent your entire career, trying to build better athletes, better teams, better people, better coaches. In your time in education and athletics, when it is eventually over, what do you hope people say about the impact you had?
So this one, I think, really hit me on my reflection in Keokuk too, after all the announcements came out and stuff. And I think it's going to be the same, as the dust settles and the career's over. It's just that what I found out when I left Keokuk with the responses and things is people appreciate when you just put your head down and you work really, really hard and you try to do the right things. I didn't always do the right things in Keokuk. I didn't always make the right decisions, but I made the decisions that I felt were best for our students and for our athletes and for the people that were involved. And, every decision you make isn't going to make everybody happy. It's not going to benefit every single person. That's what's hard about our jobs. But, at the end of the day, I think with all the positives that people left with and people that reached out and the thank yous and the different things like that, it's just they appreciate when you try to do your best. There was a couple people that text me that I know I made mad when in my time here with different decisions and different ideas and different things we threw out, but they still thanked you, and they still appreciated you. And so at the end of the day, when it's all done, I just hope that people see a guy that tried to work as hard as he possibly could to better the people around him. And he did it the best that he knew how, and he tried to be consistent, and he tried to do it the right way. I think those are the only things you can do and the only things you can control. And I think those are enough if you do them right and you truly do it for the right reasons, I guess would be the biggest thing is, are the kids first? Are we really putting all the kids first? Is that happening? We always say, what's best for kids. You hear it all the time in education, but are we really doing what's best for kids, or do we throw some adult opinion in there too? And for me, I want to make sure that it's always what's best for kids, even if it's not what's best for me in that situation, because it's going to be hard when I make the decision that I make, but knowing that it's what's best for the ones around me that need it to be made. That's what an administrator does. It's what a coach does. And at the end of the day, that's what I hope people think and see of my career.
And they can follow you along because we're going to have you on obviously in season 5. So we can pick your brain to see how things went and to kind of keep up there.
I'll be in red and black now, guys.
Hey.
True story. So my wife's teaching friends and her second grade team, they bought us all North Polk t-shirts. And my oldest son, Harrison, has still not put it on because red and black. He's not happy about it. he has it is still folded up, brand new. He just doesn't know if he's going to be able to wear that red and black because of them bloodhounds.
That's awesome. Give a shout out to your family and to anybody else here as we start to wrap up.
Yeah, I think my wife, Randy, and you guys all say it as coaches as well, and ADs. I mean, my wife might be a better coach than I am, but she took a back seat to raise our kids so I could coach. And that's a big deal. And that doesn't always happen, but it happens to successful people when you have successful people around you. And I couldn't do what I do without her. I mean, the hours that you put in, the time away, it's really awesome. And then my kids, just accepting that dad doesn't get to coach all their sports, and dad doesn't get to always be there because dad's at other people's activities and other people's sports. And, they sacrifice a lot. It's provided a lot. So it's a double-edged sword, and I'd have it no other way. But when you have a family that rallies around what you do and they're a part of what you do, it makes it a lot easier.
Must be okay.
Oh, I was just going to say that, when you hire me, you hire my whole family. It's a package deal. They're going to be there. They're going to be around. They're going to be a part of what North Polk does. And that's just kind of what we do. So yeah, I think that's big. And then my last shout out, man, just the ADs at the Southeast Conference, and Ben included. Brett Van Wielden was another one that was included. Even old Swink, we'll throw Swink in there. On this side of things, leaving that group is definitely the hardest thing for me to do on the AD side of things. That it's not easy being an AD anywhere, and it's really not easy being an AD in Southeast Iowa. And those guys
below Highway 34.
There you go. Yep. And those guys just made it really, really fun. And they made it to where we just leaned on each other. We depended on each other. I mean, your AD came down and helped me run track meets last year when I had no idea what I was doing on my computer. Your principal and your AD came down.
They're pretty good.
My track meets yeah, they do a good job. Now, I did tell the Lamb brothers, I said, if you really want to make it official, this conference meet, we'll bring Tim down from the stands and let him yell at you two down.
Oh, yeah.
They wouldn't let me do that. So, but yeah, it's just what we do in the conference with those guys. And, I hope I'm fortunate enough to build those relationships with the guys in the Raccoon Conference. But these guys in the Southeast Conference, they don't build them like these guys. And they're great guys. They're great people. I told them, I said, the best thing with being an AD still is we can still call each other with all our problems and complain to each other. And that's what we'll do. But yeah, those guys are the best. And, no matter if you're a bloodhound, you're a chief, or you're anywhere else in the conference, appreciate those ADs that are running around because they're making these things possible for your kids.
100%. Now, I'm sure Schrader is saying, quit griping, move on. Okay. So that's pretty much a wrap of the Coach Show Season 4, Episode 26. Coach Fry, do you have any shouts?
Just, shout out to my family, shout out to Chuck, shout out to DD for bringing me in. Just looking forward to whatever, continues to build through the future. So yeah, really, really pumped. So
DD's building a freaking army. I saw you got a kicking coach today, Coach Wellman. That was a huge get. Anyway, we'll be back in the fall. We're out.